I'm Nicole, Fink, and I had this scene, a visit from the police, which is where the police officer comes to tell Mrs. Wilberforce that everything is fine with the horse and that she doesn't need to worry about anything. And all the gang members are freaking out because they see this cop coming up to the door and they're scared, I guess. Okay, this is my character development, and I did the professor first, and I just really wanted to do the creepy smile, and his hair kind of stuck out to me. And I kind of wanted to make it like his head down more because it kind of like gives it the creepy feel that he's like watching over people or something. So I like outlined his head so that you could see that his chin was dipping below his shoulder line. And the next one is Louis. I really wanted to put his hat and the tie. And then the bottom one is the major, and I put his bow tie and his mustache. Okay. The top one is one round, which was really hard for me. I didn't know like what to put on his head, I guess. But I ended up giving him a little hair. And then I did the rounded edges because he's the soft one of the group. And then for Louis, I gave him a cigarette because he thinks he's cool, and his hair. And Mrs. Wilberforce and the police officer, I made them the same color so that they could be like kind of joined together as like the good people in the scene. And I made them both rounded too, kind of for the same reason. Okay, this is my process for the first scene. This is when the professor is like leading Mrs. Wilberforce to the door and telling her what all she needs to say to the officer. And this is when he's like leading her to the opening so that she could go to the hallway to the door. And I really wanted like all the gang like peeping around the corner to see, because they were all scared and they're in the dark kind of, to see him like lead her over there. I made them all, well, I made the professor and Mrs. Wilberforce bigger. I didn't want to like necessarily put like an arm out leading her because I thought that would be kind of weird. So then I put pictures and all that. This is my second scene. I didn't really have any process because I kind of figured out how everything works in my first scene. So this is Mrs. Wilberforce talking to the officer through like the little crack in the door that she had open. And this is supposed to be like the back of her head, so I added like a lot more hair. And I didn't want the door to be like so closed how she had it, because then you wouldn't be able to see the officer, so I kind of opened it a little more. And this is my third scene. This is after the cop left and they came back, because I really thought it was weird how the professor hid behind some curtains where he could probably be clearly seen from the door. But it was actually in the scene, it was like on the other side, but I couldn't really figure out how to put it over there, so I put it on this side instead. And then all the gang members were hiding in like the little shadow of the stairway. And then I just added the windows, and that was it.
I like how you used the yellow as your background color. Is there a reason why you chose yellow and the blue color?
Yeah, it was kind of like a more burnt orange on the computer, but I kind of just really wanted to contrast with the light blue that I picked. I didn't really have a reason for the blue. I just like picked the color and I thought it looked okay.
I'm gonna piggyback at this right here though. See, I don't think the blue looks okay. It looks almost fluorescent to me near there. And you know, her house is and her clothes are always very drab, and the blue won't work for faces that well, and it doesn't really provide anything positive in using it for the pictures. It actually makes it kind of distracting. And I really wish you'd think again about a color to go with that rather than that blue.
What about like a lighter, more subtle blue?
I don't know. I don't know why you would want a blue at all. I mean, you just think about it. Think about some other possibilities with it. I mean, and think about a lot of different possibilities. What would happen if you use something like a very dark red, or something if you use something like a dark green or something? I don't know. Think about some other colors there.
One.
I really like the last scene. It definitely like represents the movie pretty well. And one thing, you could make the professor stand out a little bit from the curtains. I guess. Maybe put like a white outline on the curtains or something.
Jason?
Along with the third scene, maybe put like a railing on the stairs. Cause at first,
Yeah.
at first I didn't really know what was going on, but like once you said it, like I totally understood. Like you did a really good job at it. But yeah, like make it maybe a little railing, make it a little more obvious.
Okay.
And then in the second scene, to me it kind of looked like Mrs. Wilberforce was outside. Like it looks like she's outside her house.
Okay.
Because I know inside her house it's actually pretty dark and it's not really that bright, but.
Maybe just change my colors altogether.
Well, I like the orange, just maybe switch it, I don't know, maybe switch them around a little bit, maybe try that.
Along with the stairs, I thought you were doing it like making it really obvious that it wasn't a realistic portrayal of the stairs, but it was the idea of stairs.
Mhm.
And I like that, but then I think you didn't carry that same idea through the whole thing. Like, I think if you're gonna exaggerate it and make it not realistic, but the idea of it, carry it through the whole thing, and then everyone knows, okay, it's not really a stairs, but it is.
Okay, yeah. Daniel?
I don't know if it's really a question for you, but maybe for anyone who remembers, does Mr. Robinson actually smoke? Because that might be would that count as like a violation or something? Because you said like it would change the integrity of the
I
characters of the
wouldn't,
story.
I don't see him as the one smoking, but it doesn't really change the character for me because he is essentially what in America we would call a little punk.
Yeah,
Would always have a
honestly
cigarette
just checking because
dangling, yeah.
I wasn't sure,
Right,
so.
yeah.
Well,
But it's actually, the kind of character that was depicted there is called a teddy boy in England at the time. And they had a certain style of dressing and hair and stuff that was loosely counterculture and defiant and, you know, that sort of thing. So I wasn't so bothered by that. Did you have
Yeah.
another comment? Somebody had a comment if it was
Oh,
go ahead.
I thought that worked pretty well because I think it like shows that he's just trying to fit in.
Yeah, it's kind of a nice
Yeah.
touch, so.
well,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it pushes a little bit, but I think it's legitimate because it's within the kind of behavior you'd expect there.
the only reason I had it at all is because I like looked up a picture of them to like put it right on the PowerPoint to like make their characters. And in that picture, he had a cigarette in his mouth, so I was like, oh, maybe.
I don't think he would write in this scene, but it
Yeah,
doesn't,
not
it
this
doesn't
scene.
make any difference. I would like to say that I thought your character development was the strongest point here. You did a lot with very few shapes and positioning those shapes and lines very carefully. And particularly of the gang, I'm not as crazy about Mrs. Wilberforce, but in a way I think that's because that blue was a little jarring
Yeah.
to me there. But I also think that there's not a lot of process work here because I don't think you pushed this through as many iterations as you really needed to. Particularly in that last scene where things are just not quite coming together. We all like the idea of it, but things are just not quite coming together. I think one thing that might help you is to do it in such a way that you're not showing the full bodies of the gang. Now, with her full body, she's always kind of sweeping, you know, with the floor, her hemline is close to the floor, et cetera. You can get rid of about everything. But of course, what gives us the sense of the characters where the gang is concerned are the faces. And you can construct the stairway in such a way that they are obviously on a stairway at different heights, and not even have to show their whole bodies. You can just show the heads over the railings, in essence, or the very top of them or something. It's like you need to take those pieces in that last one and rework it some more.
Okay.
What do you think? Anybody else have any suggestions? Characters are just wonderful, just wonderful.